Welcome to Enlightenment from the Way of Initiation by Dr. Rudolf Steiner, vegetarian, and Words of Wisdom. Born in 1861, Dr. Rudolf Steiner was a great Austrian polymath, philosopher, and scientist who made influential contributions in the fields of education, science, spirituality, and medicine. He is perhaps best known for pioneering the holistic educational methods for the Waldorf schools. An eloquent public speaker and gifted writer, he gave over 6,000 lectures in his lifetime and gained recognition as a literary critic. His writings cover a wide range of subjects, and he published more than 25 books, including Mysticism at the Dawn of the Modern Age, The Way of Initiation, and Intuitive Thinking as a Spiritual Path, The Philosophy of Freedom. He developed and taught an esoteric spiritual philosophy called Anthroposophy, based on the science of the spirit. We will now continue our reading from Dr. Rudolf Steiner's chapter Enlightenment from his book The Way of Initiation. The author caringly gives precious advice for the safety of our spiritual journey, with emphasis on the importance of being perseverant and patient, as everything needed for our progress is already embedded within our being. Enlightenment. He who is in search of occult knowledge must fortify himself throughout the whole course of his efforts by the understanding that after persevering for some time, he may have made suitable progress without becoming conscious of it in the precise way which he had expected. He who does not remember this is likely to lose heart and in a little while to abandon his efforts altogether. The mental powers and faculties about to be developed are at first of the most subtle kind, and their nature differs entirely from the conceptions of them which may be formed in the student's mind. He has been accustomed to occupy himself with the physical world alone, and the mental and astral worlds seem to elude his gaze and baffle his conceptions. It is therefore not remarkable if at first he fails to realize the new forces, mental and astral, which are developing in his own being. This is why it is dangerous to enter the path leading to occult knowledge without experienced guidance. The teacher can see the progress made by the pupil long before the latter becomes conscious of it for himself. He sees the delicate organs of spiritual vision beginning to form themselves before the pupil is aware of their existence. And the great part of the duties of the teacher consist in perpetual watchfulness, lest the disciple lose confidence, patience, and perseverance before he becomes conscious of his own progress. The teacher, as we know, can confer upon the student no powers which are not already latent within him, and his sole function is to assist in the awakening of slumbering faculties. But he may be a pillar of strength to him who strives to penetrate through darkness into the light. There are many who leave the occult path soon after setting foot upon it, because they are not immediately conscious of their own progress. And even when higher experiences begin to dawn upon the seeker, he is apt to regard them as illusions, because he had anticipated them quite differently. He loses courage, either because he regards these first experiences as of no value, or because they appear so insignificant that he has no hope of their leading to any appreciable results within a measurable time. Courage and self-confidence are the two lamps which must never be allowed to burn themselves out on the pathway to the occult. He who cannot patiently repeat an exercise which has failed for an apparently unlimited number of times will never travel far. Long before one is aware of any distinct perception of progress, comes an inarticulate mental impression that the right road has been found. This is a feeling to be welcomed and to be encouraged, since it may evolve into a trustworthy guide. Above all, it is imperative to extirpate the idea that any fantastic, mysterious practices are required for the attainment of higher experiences. It must be clearly realized that ordinary, everyday human feelings and thoughts must form the basis from which the start is to be made, and that it is only needful to give these thoughts and feelings a new direction. Everyone must say to himself, "In my own sphere of thought and sensations lie enfolded the deepest mysteries, but hitherto I have been unable to perceive them." In the end, it all resolves itself into the fact that man ordinarily carries body, soul, and spirit about with him, yet is conscious only of the body, not of the soul and spirit, and that the student, in due time, attains to a similar consciousness of soul and spirit. Hence, it is highly important to give the proper direction to thoughts and feelings, in order that one may develop the perception of that which is invisible to a person living the ordinary life. One of the ways by which this development may be carried out will now be indicated. Again, like almost everything else we have explained so far, it is quite a simple matter. Yet the results are of the greatest consequence, if the experiment is carried out with perseverance and in the right frame of mind. Place before you the small seed of a plant. It is then necessary, by contemplating this significant object, to create with intensity the right kind of thoughts, and through these thoughts to develop certain feelings. In the first place, let the student clearly grasp what is really presented to his vision. Let him describe to himself the shape, color, and all other qualities of the grain of seed. Then let his mind dwell upon the following train of thought. This grain of seed, if planted in the soil, will grow into a plant of complex structure. Let him clearly picture this plant to himself. Let him build it up in his imagination. And then let him reflect that the object now existing only in his imagination will presently be brought into actual physical existence by the forces of the earth and of light. If the thing contemplated by him were an artificially made object, though such a close imitation of nature that no external difference could be detected by human eyesight, no forces inherent in the earth or light could avail to produce from it a plant. He who thoroughly grasps this thought and inwardly assimilates it will also be able to form the following idea with the right feeling. He will reason thus: that which is ultimately to grow out of this seed is already as a force now secretly enfolded within it. The artificial duplicate of the seed contains no such force, and yet both appear to be alike to my eyes. The real seed therefore contains something invisible which is not present in the imitation. It is this invisible something on which thought and feeling are now to be concentrated. Let the student fully realize that this invisible something will later on translate itself into a visible plant, perceptible by him in shape and color. Let him dwell upon the thought: the invisible will become visible. If I could not think, then I could not now realize that which will become visible later on. Noble viewers, we thank you for your kind presence on today's program, Enlightenment from the Way of Initiation, by Dr. Rudolf Steiner, Vegetarian, Part 2 of 2, and Words of Wisdom.